there, a very good evening to you. Thank you for joining us on this week's edition of your news bulletin with the Extra Touch. Tonight, I am excited because it is the Extra Touch raised to power too. And it's opening on a good note. That is, if you are a youth. The Federal Executive Council has rolled out another empowerment program for you. Nigeria's aviation industry is also in the news tonight. Open sky policy, what prospects for Nigerian airliners and passengers? On the political scene, Rivers State governorship elections concluded and other political stories. You know of the trial of the Chief Justice of Nigeria, don't you? A lot has happened and we'll give you an overview. There is business news, social intervention stories, sports, and find out if there will be respite from the prevailing heat on the weather forecast for Thursday. That's News Extra, and this is Fatima Abbas Hassan. We're glad to have you join us. Now we begin with a meeting of the Federal Executive Council. An additional social investment program known as the Empower Knowledge Multi-Track Youth Empowerment Scheme has been approved by the federal government. Minister of Budget and National Planning, Udoma Udoma, who announced this after the Federal Executive Council meeting, said the scheme is aimed at transforming beneficiaries from unemployed as well as underemployed trainees to employed citizens and entrepreneurs. State House correspondent Adam Sambo reports on this and other resolutions of the council meeting presided over by President Muhammadu Buhari.
12,000 young Nigerians from across the country between the ages of 18 to 25 years are expected to benefit from the new scheme. Over 5.59 billion naira is to be expended towards imparting in the beneficiaries knowledge and skills on assembling, repairs, and maintenance of a wide range of electronic brands, products, and technologies.
Each of those 12,000 targeted beneficiaries will be empowered to train 5 other youths via the training platform and ultimately engage them in the operations of his or her maintenance shop, which means that this will translate to the creation of an additional 60,000 jobs. It's a 9-month duration, 259,000 per youth for the training and 207,000 for the work tools, the kits, the equipment. So the idea is to ensure that we have our youths trained and capable of handling all these electronic equipment.
The Federal Executive Council also approved a $6.8 million concessionary loan facility from the African Development Bank as additional financing for the rebuilding of the devastated Northeast Nigeria. The facility, which has a 1% interest rate payable in 30 years, is to be spent on inclusive basic service delivery as well as livelihoods empowerment integrated program. Finance Minister Zainab Ahmed said specific institutions of learning had benefited from the previous facility covering all the states in the sub-region.
But there is a Federal Science and Technology College in Lassa, Borno State, that was one of the beneficiaries. Because of the insurgency, it suffered severely, but the projects could not be carried out because of the activities of the insurgents. So now what we are trying to do is to go back to this particular institution to make sure that we're able to rehabilitate the institution and also undertake a complete skills training and vocational education project that would mitigate the challenges that the institution has had.
The minister has also been given the go-ahead to appoint transaction parties for the promissory note program and bond issuance for the settlement of inherited local debt as well as contractual obligations of the federal government.
In 2017, the Federal Executive Council approved a program, a promissory notes issuance program, to enable the federal government settle total inherited debts of 3.4 trillion. And this approval now went to the National Assembly, and the National Assembly has started this review. They have so far released to us the first two tranches, the first one being debts to 25 state governments, where state governments had repaired or worked on federal roads and they're asking for a refund. The second tranche was payments to oil marketers, which is for the previous fuel subsidy scheme, including interest and exchange rate differentials that has been incurred. There are 12 categories, but so far the National Assembly has only sent in 2 categories, which we are working on.
The total cost of the 3-part consultancies, including the selection of an international accountancy firm, as well as joint financial and legal advisors, is put at 689.9 million naira. From the State House, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
In the meantime, the Federal Executive Council has approved the immediate completion of the headquarters of the Ministry of Women Affairs and Social Development in the nation's capital, Abuja. Also approved by the Council is the handover to beneficiaries the various completed projects executed under the Ecological Fund program at over 15 billion naira. Again, Adamu Sambo reports that roads, infrastructure and the mining development issues were also discussed at the meeting.
Women Affairs Minister Aisha Abubakar had told the council that the design of the building, initially conceived as the National Children's Library and Resource Center, was contrary to the Abuja Master Plan. This informed the request for a revised estimate of the initial contract sum of 1.7 billion naira so as to redesign the building and have it completed with a minimum of 5 suspended floors.
Today, Council approved the request for the revised estimated total cost of 2,650,676,179.68 kobo to complete the Ministry of Women Affairs and Social Development headquarters in Abuja.
Also approved is the augmentation of contract for the construction of Ikwadekpene Aba Oweri dual carriage border road of 11.26 kilometers.
The contract was awarded in 2012 at the cost of 3,780 million. After augmentation, it is now 6.173 billion naira.
Members of the council were also brought up to speed on the level of execution of the Ecological Fund projects under the Buhari presidency.
In the life of this administration, 166 projects have been awarded under the Ecological Fund projects. So far, 93 have been completed and handed over to the different communities, and 20 are ready as we speak now. You know that these projects are major projects.
The 15.3 billion naira projects soon to be inaugurated are mainly on erosion and flood control situated in 9 states of the Federation and the FCT. On his part, the Minister of State for Mines and Steel Development, Abubakar Bawabari, secured the Council's approval for the procurement of coal drilling rig for the National Steel Raw Materials Exploration Agency, Kaduna, valued at 486.9 million naira.
The equipment will be used for extracting mineral core samples from remote and non-motorable mineral endowed areas for use to establish mineral quantities and qualities contained therein.
The Kaduna-based agency, he explained, is currently exploring iron ore, bauxite, silica sand, manganese, and chromite in various parts of the country. The minister also clears the air on the Ajaokuta Steel Company, saying both the executive and the legislature are on the same page regarding the desire for its completion.
A lot of investors have shown interest in Ajaokuta. We have more than 11 that have shown interest in Ajaokuta, and we are doing something on Ajaokuta. Ajaokuta will not remain what it is.
He said with the investors now willing to bring in their money and the technical know-how, government can effectively utilize available resources on other competing demands. From the State House, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
Now, when it is said that ICT is the way to go, it is not just for the fun of it. It is dawning on analog people that without ICT knowledge, they are becoming more and more valueless. So I was not surprised when Basi Ita Ipan came talking of the ICT impact of rural development and empowerment programs by the Buhari administration, which he says was glaring as federal government organized ICT training for female farmers and entrepreneurs. The program, executed through Women Development Center, covered the 36 states and the Federal Capital Territory. Basi, tell us more.
Grace is saying that when you train a woman, you train a nation. Likewise, the empowerment of a woman. Realizing this dictum, the federal government is empowering women to expand their frontiers in their business. Mary Ekwereta believes the program will boost agricultural produce and take women entrepreneurs to the next level.
As our focus is to improve the lives of women, especially those in the rural area, through sustainable development program.
Despite investment in the ICT sector, many Nigerians, especially women, still lack in the application of ICT to business. This program, experts say, will bridge this gap.
Our life is diversifying and is rolling around information communication technology. We cannot do away with it. So,
Jima Mariatu, a Edo State participant at the training, like 75 others, is optimistic that the program will enable them contribute to the diversification policy of the federal government.
Traders or entrepreneurs play a very vital role when it comes to development of the economy.
The 5-day training will focus on using internet and electronic mails to source seed, market prices, weather, as well as keep appropriate records of transactions. Basi Taipan, NTA News.
Now, the state-of-the-art facilities of the new terminal building of the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja, has continued to attract international airlines as 9 out of the 13 have relocated their operations to the new terminal building. Emmanuel Ayimiro finds out why the remaining 4 are yet to relocate, despite the expiration of the deadline.
Concerning insinuations among some of the remaining 4 international airlines to bring in personnel to check connectivity before relocating to the new terminal, the airport authority says all facility required for smooth operation had been provided before takeoff at the new terminal. For a couple of other airlines that have moved, have there been any complaint of lack of connectivity or disruption in airline activities or the rest? To have warranted some of them giving excuses?
Not at all. What is connectivity? You'll be able to check in your passengers through the check-in counter. You print your boarding pass, your baggage tag. Then at the boarding gates, you'll be able to scan and then read the boarding pass and then board the passenger with your system. And that has been done.
March 31st was the deadline for the relocation, but the remaining 4 airlines are said to have requested for an extension of 1 month. The airport authority, however, says no extension is likely beyond the end of April.
2 have requested extension to this April for logistic reasons. Obviously, not because of facilities in the terminal. The challenge is now on them to move in, or they stay in the old facility that will soon close for renovation.
Meanwhile, passengers have continued to remind government of the need to keep up the maintenance of the airports.
This is good, this is wonderful. The fear everybody has is maintenance. If we can maintain it so that it will continue to stay at this standard like any other part of the world. Airports all over the world look like this.
The services are okay, very okay, of international standard. They have been coming through this airport for years now. The difference is quite clear. I mean, the way we pass through the immigration and all the officials is fantastic.
The new terminal has the capacity to process 15 million passengers annually. Emmanuel Ayemiro, NTA News.
In the meantime, the Nigerian airlines are losing lucrative West and Central African markets, which used to sustain them in the past, due to the creation of open sky policy that allows other airlines free entry and exit in 23 African countries of the world. Elizabeth Ewuga has that report.
The Single African Air Transport Market SATM, ratified by the African Union early last year, created open sky for 23 African countries that are already signatories to the policy. The implication of this policy is that airlines in these 23 countries can freely enter and exit these member countries without hindrance. While Nigeria allows airlines from the West Coast to operate in the country with minimum charges, other countries overcharge Nigerian carriers to discourage them from flying to lucrative destinations. With such strangulating charges, Nigerian airlines are forced to charge high fares to West Coast routes to offset operational costs, and this makes the business uncompetitive.
It's a one-sided game. Those who have the capacity, both financially and otherwise, are making advantage of the market. The Nigerian aviation air carriers have not been able to take advantage of that due specifically to on-time departures, the fleet consistency, and the level of service.
The Single African Air Transport Market SATM must therefore be re-examined, otherwise Nigerian airlines may run out of business. Some aviation professionals who expressed this fear advise the federal government to support domestic airlines as done in other countries. They want the charges reciprocated by also charging those African carriers the same amount they charge Nigerian airlines.
Some of them have brought some charges that has demoralized our airlines from operating. Why they don't pay such charges? And under the ECOWAS protocol, all airlines in the West Coast are supposed to have those things.
The government should encourage the local airline in the sense that talking under the ECOWAS community to have a common window where every airline flying to all these destinations should have a minimum charges.
What then can be done to make the West African routes profitable to airlines in the sub-region?
Strategic partnership, so they're able to actually operate optimally within the regional and being able to use that traffic to feed the international routes.
If we can have an MRO that can be of great help to the servicing of Nigerian Airlines plane, they will increase their profits. If Jet A1 issues can be positively tackled, it will go tremendous way towards decreasing the cost of airline operators in Nigeria.
No doubt, West Africa has the highest population in Africa. And so for airlines in the sub-region to maximize the opportunities offered by high passenger traffic, the West Coast must work together. Professionals in the aviation industry say for Single African Air Transport Market to work, every sub-region should operate like domestic service with uniform charges to enable airlines operate profitably in the sub-region. In Lagos, Elizabeth Ewuga, NTA News.
Governor Nyesom Wike and candidate of the PDP has been declared winner of the March 9th governorship election in Rivers State. The state returning officer, Professor Teddy Adias, declared him winner, having polled 886,264 votes. The ACC candidate came a distant second with 733,859 votes.
Awara Biokumamo, male of the AAC, scored 173,859. Nyesom Wike, male of PDP, polls 886,264. That I, this day, confirm again that I'm the officer for this election, and that Nyesom Wike is of the PDP, having satisfied the requirements of the law and scored the highest number of votes, is hereby declared winner and is returned elected.
the declaration of a winner for the March 9, 2019 general elections here at the State Collation Office in the INEC State Headquarters has put to rest the tension in the state.
The state has to move forward. We can't continue protesting and fighting and killing. This is time to mend. And that is why I've said that the candidates of AAC and others that contested should join hands with the governor-elect to move the state forward. This is a time to rebuild. We need a new Rivers State, a peaceful Rivers State. Rivers State cannot continue to be on the news for the wrong reasons.
However, the agent of the AAC says he will reach out to other members of his party and that his party will come up with a statement as to their position on the outcome of the coalition.
As a party, AAC stands for peace. We do not in any way encourage people to go and begin to make trouble. This is a party for the future. This is a new way to go. We are encouraging Nigerians to still have the faith they have in our party. We've just finished a cycle of elections. This will not be the end of it. So let's just see how it goes.
From the INEC State Office here in Port Harcourt, on Nengiye Fineface, NTA News.
The presentation by the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, before the House of Representatives Committee on Information of its budget performance in 2018 and proposals for 2019 has been described as one of the most comprehensive so far at the ongoing budget defense and the National Assembly. It is against this background that the committee chairman, Olusegun Odebumi, promised to give necessary consideration to the report for adoption. National Assembly correspondent Lami Ali has more on that.
Director General of the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, Malam Yakubu Ibn Muhammad, during his presentation before the committee, gave a breakdown of appropriations for personnel, overhead and capital expenditure, as well as internally generated revenue for 2018 and proposals for 2019, as reflected in the documents forwarded to the committee for consideration. He expressed the commitments of the NTA in discharging its mandate as a national public service television network, adding that the support enjoyed by the NTA from the committee in terms of appropriating amounts required for procurement of latest state-of-the-art equipment for effective operations has led to unprecedented achievements, citing the coverage of the 2019 elections as one among several others.
When we asked for funds were appropriated, and that enabled us to get the necessary equipment that we needed, especially for the coverage of the 2019 elections. Like I said, we covered the elections in a manner never before done in the history, in the 41-year history of the NTA. For this, we are eternally grateful to God and to all those on whose shoulders, we cried, who listened to our cries, and who wiped our tears.
Chairman of the committee, Representative Olusegun Odebumi, expressed confidence in the commitments of the NTA and assured that the committee will study the financial documents for consideration and subsequent adoption.
If there's still for you to come down for some clarification to this court, we'll let you know. But the committee will sit as for tomorrow, consider your proposal, and get back to you.
I commend you for a very good work. This is a very, very commendable presentation.
Other committee members said NTA has over the years proved to be an organization of pride at both local and global levels as it daily strives to expand on operations and reach. From the National Assembly, Lami Ali, NTA News.
Now, every 4 years, new members of the National Assembly are constituted. This naturally comes with an election to elect leadership of the National Assembly. The race has begun in earnest with horse trading, intrigues and heightened campaigns. But what is expected of the 9th Assembly in advancing good governance? What are the burning issues begging for urgent attention? It's over now to Talatu Ezerike for more on that. It
has been established that the beauty of democracy is largely based on checks and balances amongst the three arms of government. The legislature is charged with the responsibility of making laws. The judiciary interprets, while the executive executes, all in the pursuit of good governance. The 9th National Assembly is expected to be constituted by June to take charge of the business of enacting laws and reviewing existing ones. The race for the leadership of the National Assembly, analysts believe, is getting more interesting, perhaps in rewriting the wrongs, or as some say it, a time for true democracy.
Individuals who have corruption charges and corruption allegations should not even be considered for the purpose of bringing them to the place of power. But if we are operating as checks and balance, it is expected that there are times, even for the most part, we would disagree. But when we disagree, let it be on the premise of principle. Let it be probably on procedure. In both the Senate and the House, you're talking of ranking members. You know, you don't allow a greenhorn that was just elected to Parliament, he wants to be Speaker to the Senate President. It doesn't happen. What do you know? You know, you don't know the ropes. Now, it is the responsibility of the party now to make sure that there is some level of consensus amongst its members.
Naturally, there are expectations, which for many include speedy passage of bills that benefit the citizens and reforms in the remuneration of political office holders, as well as the Electoral Act.
Start by cutting off these pegs and making them look like ordinary men that they really are. We've seen many presiding officers outside of our country. If you go by the way they carry themselves, there won't be a reason to fight for that.
Those who will emerge as the leaders of the House, whether of the Senate or the House of Representatives, must have Nigerians at heart. They must have democracy in their mind.
It is generally agreed by the people that much of what will shape the 9th National Assembly will depend on the quality of the leadership and members in building a stronger Nigeria. Talat Ezerike, NTA News.
Many thanks, Talatu. Now, the chairman Southern Senators Forum, Senator Hope Uzodimma, says support of the legislators is imperative to enable APC-led administration of President Muhammadu Buhari fulfill its campaign promises for the benefit of Nigerians and the country's nascent democracy. At a press briefing, the senator calls for all hands to be on deck towards moving the country forward. National Assembly correspondent Abdullahi Aminu completes the report.
The party also has a responsibility to ensure that the leadership of the 9th National Assembly must be a supportive one, must be that must be stable.
Senator Hope Uzodimma emphasized the need for synergy between the three arms of governance and political parties with their gladiators to exhibit the attitude of politics without bitterness. This, according to him, is a major step to ensuring that national interest is protected for growth and stability of Nigeria as an indivisible nation.
I'm therefore using this medium to call for caution, so that members of the National Assembly elect must respect the position of the various political parties. Because in a partisan democracy, the party is always supreme.
Senator Hope Uzodimma has assured Nigerians of the interest of All Progressives Congress, APC, to have a strong government for the betterment of the country. From the National Assembly, Abdullahi Aminu, NTA News.
You're watching NTA News Extra. Still to come, an overview of the case of a Chief Justice in the dock for non-asset declaration. We'll be right back.
In today's world, it's tough being a woman. But thanks to So Clean, Nigeria's #1 detergent with stain magnet technology, doing washing is a whole lot faster and smarter too. Only So Clean has stain magnet technology with an advanced enzyme formula that pulls out even the toughest trapped dirt, just like powerful magnets. No wonder Nigerians love So Clean. So Clean, for a faster, brighter, cleaner wash.
The Industrial Training Fund, ITF, in collaboration with the Federal Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment, cordially invites the general public to the official closing ceremony of the National Industrial Skills Development Program. His Excellency, Professor Yemi Osibanjo, GCON, Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, will be the special guest of honor. Other guests during the ceremony include the Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, Dr. Okechukwu Enelama, the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Malam Mohammed Bello, and the Minister of State for Industry, Trade and Investment, Hajia Aisha Abubakar, who will be the distinguished guests. The Director General of the Industrial Training Fund, Sir Joseph Ari, will be the chief host. The closing ceremony is scheduled to take place as follows. Date, Thursday, 4th April 2019. Venue, Shehu Musa Yar'Adua Center, Abuja. Time, 10 a.m. Invited guests are expected to be seated by 9:30 a.m. ITF, developing the nation's human resources. Sulayol Fred Chagu, Head Public Affairs for ITF Management. Announcer.
New message from African Alliance Insurance PLC. Your children education plan application successful.
Thank you, Jane.
Client meeting confirmed for tomorrow, and your investment just matured.
Okay. On my daily checklist, school?
Check.
Work?
Check.
And business?
Check. Don't forget your reunion party this evening at 7 p.m.
Thank you, Jane. The good life is having nothing to worry about because you know everything is going as planned.
Whatever matters to you, we keep everything on check with African Alliance Insurance. African Alliance PLC, with you for life.
These days, people get their news and information from more media sources than ever before. Some of the news and information given are fake, unverified, doctored, and manufactured to create confusion, stir disaffection, and cause disunity. Before you believe or share any news, ask yourself, is this real? Is it from a credible source? Is it verified or verifiable? Fake news is dangerous, whether you do it for fun or for political gains. Real people can get hurt. Fake news, don't create it, don't spread it.
This is a public service announcement from NTA.
You're welcome back. We're glad to have you back with us on NTA News Extra tonight. The Code of Conduct Tribunal has fixed Monday, the 15th of April, for the final address to the tribunal by the defense and the prosecution in the Assets Declaration case against Justice Walter Onnoghen. This follows the closure of the defense case at Wednesday's hearing. Judiciary correspondent Femi Okewo has more on that.
The defense team of Justice Walter Onnoghen came up with a surprise step at Wednesday's hearing when, against all expectations, it decided to close its case after calling only one witness. The last sitting of the tribunal had ended on Monday with the defense indicating that it wishes to call a director in the Code of Conduct Bureau as a witness. But Chief Chris Uche, Senior Advocate of Nigeria leading the defense, informed the tribunal that, having evaluated the evidence before the court, the team had decided to close its case. He then asked for 14 days within which to submit his final written address. Chairman of the tribunal, Danladi Umar, however, granted 3 working days each to the defense and prosecution for their final written address, which will now be adopted on Monday, the 15th of April.
We came to the conclusion that we should close our case at this point, that no case whatsoever has been disclosed as we said in our no case submission.
They are the judges of their own case. So they decide when to close. But what I'm happy about is that neither the prosecution nor the defense has delayed this matter.
Although no date has yet been fixed for the eventual judgment on this case, there are 3 applications on which the tribunal must make a decision whenever it comes up with a judgment. First is whether it has the jurisdiction to hear this matter in the first place, and then there is a second application which calls on the chairman of the tribunal to recuse himself of hearing the case. And the final one is the main matter itself, which is whether Justice Walter Onogen is liable for the charges before the tribunal. In Abuja, Femi Okeowu, NTA News.
And still from the judiciary, the National Judiciary Council, NJC, has received the report of the 5-man committee set up to investigate the petition against the suspended Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Walter Onogen, and the active Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Ibrahim Tanko Mohammed. The National Judicial Council, rising from its emergency meeting, however, said that it has since communicated its decisions to President Muhammadu Buhari before making it public due to its sensitivity. The council said it did not delve into the assets declaration matter since it is sub judice. In a statement signed by the NJC Director of Information, Sojioye, the council also resolved that by the nature of the decisions reached, it will be inappropriate to go public before conveying it to Mr. President. Now, the Code of Conduct Bureau in January 2019 indicated its intention to arraign the suspended Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Walter Onogen, over an alleged false declaration of assets. Sequel to this, Justice Onogen was arraigned before the Code of Conduct Tribunal to answer to the count charge preferred against him. Dele Atumbi brings us an overview of the first Chief Justice of Nigeria to be arraigned before the Code of Conduct Tribunal.
Asset declaration is a prerequisite for every public servant and must be done every 4 years. It is in the light of this that the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Walter Onogen, was arraigned by the Code of Conduct Bureau on 14th January 2019 before the Code of Conduct Tribunal on 6-count charge of false declaration of assets. This arraignment generated a lot of comments, with efforts made in various courts to secure others to stop the trial at the Code of Conduct Tribunal for lack of jurisdiction. While this was on, the Code of Conduct Tribunal, following an ex parte application, issued an order for the suspension of the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Walter Onogen, an order President Muhammadu Buhari carried out on the 25th of January 2019, pending the determination of the matter. The Court of Appeal, in its verdict, put the issue to rest by restating the original jurisdiction of the Code of Conduct Tribunal to adjudicate on matters relating to assets declaration. This paved way for the suspended Chief Justice of Nigeria to appear before the Code of Conduct Tribunal on Friday, 15th February 2019, where Justice Walter Onogen entered a plea of not guilty to the 6-count charge preferred against him. His arraignment after 5 previous adjournments as a result of the absence of the defendant gave the prosecution counsel Aliu Umar SAN the opportunity to open his case. After his non-guilty plea, counsel to the defendant, Chris Uche SAN, applied for his bail, an application which the prosecution did not oppose. The CCT chairman, Daladi Umar, admitted Justice Onogen on bail on separate cognizance. Prosecution counsel, led by Ali Umar SAN, called 3 prosecution witnesses and thereafter closed his case on Friday, 22nd of March 2019. Defense counsel, led by Adegboye Gawumolo SAN, entered a no-case submission which the tribunal ruled against. This verdict from the CCT made the suspended Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Walter Onogen, to open his defense by calling the first defense witness. The tribunal also subpoenaed a director in the Code of Conduct Bureau as the second defense witness.
The issue of jurisdiction is raised. It must be determined before any other thing is done. And much more so, the motion that challenges his impartiality to continue with this matter, that's the one for him to recuse himself, is a threshold motion that he ought to deal with first.
The first time that a court said I will reserve my ruling on challenging my jurisdiction until I'm delivering the judgment.
The defendant, who has closed his defense, is standing trial on 6-count charge. In Abuja, Dele Atumbi, NTA News.
And away from the judiciary, 2 prosecution witnesses have testified before a federal high court in Abuja on how one Sikiru Adeleke, allegedly sat for the June 2017 National Examination Council examination in the name of Ademola Adeleke. Correspondent Olabode Erewa reports that the two witnesses, namely Abiodun Emmanuel and Adigun Akintayo, said though one Ademola Adeleke's name was on the NACO result sheets, Senator Adeleke was not at Ojoaro High School. Ede, on the said exam date, counsel to the prosecution and the defense reacts.
The two prosecution witnesses who testified at the resumed trial of Senator Ademola Adeleke and 4 others over alleged examination malpractice were Odeshola Abiodun, the NECO examination supervisor, and Adigun Akintayo, a teacher in the post-primary school where the matter allegedly took place. The two witnesses said that though one Ademola Adeleke's name was on the list of the NECO result sheet, Senator Adeleke was not at Ojuari High School on the said examination date. The second defendant, Sikiru Adeleke, was allegedly identified by the two prosecution witnesses as one of the mature students in the examination hall. Prosecution counsel Simon Law expressed satisfaction with proceedings so far, while the defense counsel Nathaniel Oke, senior advocate of Nigeria, used the opportunity to react to Tuesday's judgment against his clients.
We are dissatisfied with that judgment and we are appealing against it.
So far, the evidence given, we are satisfied with it.
Meanwhile, in light of the judgment of the FCT High Court in Buhari invalidating the candidature of Senator Ademola Adeleke, legal practitioners say the Osun State governorship tussle can only be determined by the courts.
I am sure that those handling the election petition will find this judgment useful and they will bring it to the attention of the court.
The case has been adjourned to 10th of June 2019.
In Abuja, Olabode Erewa, NTA News.
President Muhammadu Buhari says government will not tolerate the brutalization of Nigerians or the violation of their rights by any officer of the law enforcement agencies or any other government functionary. A statement signed by the Special Advisor to the President of Media and Publicity, Femi Adesina, indicates that President Muhammadu Buhari regrets the recent unfortunate action of the Special Anti-Robbery Squad, SARS, operatives from the Lagos State Police Command, which led to the avoidable death of Mr. Kolade Johnson, and commiserates deeply with the family of the deceased. The president acknowledges the genuine outrage regarding the activities of SARS and reassures Nigerians that perpetrators will be prosecuted accordingly. The statement adds that the Buhari administration will continue to ensure that all officers in the police and other law enforcement agencies conduct their operations in strict adherence to the rule of law and with due regard to international human rights and humanitarian laws. Now, what happens when top security chiefs meet? Interventions by the Nigerian Air Force, including advanced early warning systems, are just the tip of the iceberg from a just concluded meeting between the Chief of the Air Staff and Acting Inspector General Police. Naja'atu Tijani was there in our reports.
Focus on inter-service relationship is one of the key drivers of the Nigerian Air Force, which is being demonstrated here today as these chiefs meet to deliberate on top security matters. Current security issues along the Abuja-Kaduna Birnin Gwari axis, notorious for kidnapping and other criminal offences, have called for the Acting Inspector General of Police and other top security stakeholders to employ drastic measures. They are banking on the state-of-the-art technology to be provided by the Nigerian Air Force.
We don't have the air capability, but the Air Force has the air capability. We can have a joint operation to deal with this crime within the country.
This action follows the assurance by the Nigeria Police Force of safety along those routes. Other interventions to be provided by the Nigerian Air Force include early warning systems using the intelligence, surveillance and reconnaissance platform accessible to all security operatives in the country. Naja'atu Tijani, NTA News.
You know, criminals lack respect, or do I say criminals do not fear? Now, if they had fear or respect, they will stay far away from Abuja, where all the national security outfits are headquartered. But no, crime is on the upbeat in the FCT, so much so that residents are appealing to the police to increase its visibility at bus stops and under the bridges to reduce criminal activities. Safia Nomauche in this report examines the rate of crime in the territory.
One of the several flash spots of criminal activities is the National Mosque Junction, where robbers attack their victims while waiting to board commercial vehicles.
When it is night, this place is always dark. If not because of this police, and they are not always here. When they went, they will start their operation. And we have many places here that they always operate. Actually, that bridge, that is the very dangerous place.
Early in the morning, like that, around 5, 6, if you enter this side, if you don't be careful, they'll snatch your bag and run into the bush.
Commissioner of Police FCT Balachuruma says the command has not rested on its hours in ensuring that it delivers quality service to FCT residents. He said this while parading suspected criminals at the command.
Most of the people being paraded are young persons, 20, 22, 19, and that is the age bracket. Definitely it's a source of concern because they're the productive manpower of society.
One of the suspects, 27-year-old Kelvin Ndubisi, whose girlfriend used him to set up her colleagues in the office by robbing the office.
I have a case with my colleagues in my working place, and I want him to just set her up. So he went ahead, calling friends around 2 o'clock on Sunday. They went there and picked television, 7 television, 1 system, and then seized the workers' 2 phones.
One Murtala Ibrahim was caught with 32 superpower explosives. A new method of kidnapping has been discovered by the Nigerian police force, where 9-year-old Sike and 7-year-old Rejoice Godwin were kidnapped because the robbers could not find money in their house.
Really, they were kidnapped. They didn't touch them. They didn't beat them. They were only giving them bread and water according to them. They demand 5 million. I see the work of police that very day.
The police is ensuring that all suspects will be charged to court as soon as investigation is concluded, while FCT residents are advised to be vigilant. Safia Noma Uche, NTA News.
Well, we sincerely hope that all the security agencies would put hand on deck to ensure that security is improved in the Federal Capital Territory. Now, still to come is a special report on unlocking the fortunes of Yawuri Emirate in Kebbi State. Don't go away, News Extra will continue after the commercial break.
Introducing the new Nivea Dry Impact and Dry Comfort deodorants. Now with quick dry effect and longer lasting fragrance. Guaranteed to keep you feeling dry and fresh all day. Proven 48-hour protection and longer lasting fragrance with the new dry deodorants from Nivea.
I thought leaving the country was the best decision for me and my future.
I left for a better life.
We were picked up by immigration officials and sent to a detention camp.
I spent 8 months in the detention camp.
There was no food, no water.
I saw people being beaten like animals.
Some women were raped. Some women were sold as slaves.
I thought I would never see my loved ones again.
I have made the biggest mistake of my life.
I have wasted all my savings.
I have to start all over again.
Migration is a human phenomenon which cannot be stopped. But if we choose to migrate, we advocate that it should be done in a safe, orderly, regular, and dignified way, and not in a dangerous and tortuous manner.
This message is brought to you by the National Commission for Refugees, Migrants, and Internally Displaced Persons.
You're welcome back. We now join Abolade Salami in our Lagos studio for Business News.
Thank you, Fatima. Good evening and welcome to Business News segment. We'll start tonight from the floor of the Nigerian Stock Exchange. The losing streak in Nigeria's equities markets enters third trading session of the week. This downward trend, market watchers described as worrisome.
The last trading week in the third quarter of 2019 saw investors trading shares worth 1.198 billion, valued at 12.273 billion naira, that exchanged hands in 18,293 deals. At the commencement of trading in the second quarter of the year, equities market began trading in the red, with the all-share down by 2.41% month to date. Market watchers described the third-day consecutive bearish run in Q2 2019 as worrisome, with a call on stakeholders to review economic policies that will be market-driven.
And so if Q2 has already started on a negative note, at a time when the market ought to be upbeat, then is a worrisome development. Analysts expect, and economic watchers, is that the paradigm needs to shift to a market that, to an economy that is market-driven.
And still talking equities, at the close of midweek trading, the market dipped by 1.85%. Here is today's details.
Trading. The bearish run in the equities market continued as the market dipped by 1.85% to close the all-share index at 29,668.73 basis points. Volume of shares traded stood at 542 million, valued at 5.66 billion naira, which swapped hands in 4,146 deals. Nestle, Nigerian Breweries and O&O all posted gains, while Dangote Cement, International Breweries and CCNN declined in figures. On sectorial performance, major sectors closed in the red territory as NSE Banking, NSE Industrial, NSE Insurance, and NSE Pension closed in the red, depreciated by 4.59%, 4.42%, 1.24%, and 2.53%, while NSE Consumer Goods and Oil and Gas closed in the green, appreciating by 1.2% and 0.26%.
And away from equities market now to the fixed income market. The federal government bond market remained relatively quiet, with yields trickling slightly higher by 3 basis points, following sale on the short end of the curve, which came up on the resumption of open market operation by the Central Bank of Nigeria. Meanwhile, the Treasury bill market also traded on a relatively quiet note, with yields rising marginally high by 4 basis points, following slight sale on the long end of the curve. And that ends Business News segment. The news continues with Fatima in Abuja. Good evening.
Many thanks, Abolade. Now, can you imagine the taste of jollof rice garnished with dry fish, or having a dry fish pepper soup for lunch or dinner? Well, that's not the focus of the story. Now, the story is about dry fish business in Nigeria. Could you believe that Nigeria is a major producer, consumer, and exporter of dry fish in Africa? Yes. This is according to the research carried out by the Food and Agriculture Organization, FAO, which shows that Nigeria can earn more than $20 million from the export of dry fish annually. Let's now join Musa Babaliu for more on that.
This is Smoke Fish Production Area located in Fish Market in Kado, Abuja. The fish is produced under what can be considered as tough, rough and unhygienic condition. Those drying the fish have to cope with smoke and high temperature emanating from the local firewood used in smoking the fish. This seller says she has been in the business for more than 2 decades, but says she cannot stand the smoke getting into her eyes. Muhammadu Ibrahim is the chairman of the fish market. He explains the steps involved in fish processing and the need for government intervention.
We are made to understand that our dry fish is needed outside the country. So therefore the easiest way to do it is for us to have a modern way of doing it. Just like if you notice, if you go through the market, you will see some dry fish. Some of those dry fish are being brought in from Thailand, Malaysia, and the rest.
In 2010, a team from the Food and Agriculture Organization visited the market and promised to upgrade the fish drying point to an acceptable standard.
A lot of drudgery for the processor in terms of how they carry out the activity, their exposure to smoke, heat, and other hazards. Then the safety of the product that comes out through the processing has also become a concern, especially in Africa, where we eat a lot of these processed fish and also have the opportunity to export out to Europe.
The fulfillment of the promise brought about this center being equipped with modern machines capable of drying more than 2,000 fish a day. The initiative is expected to boost dry fish production and its distribution within Abuja and neighboring states.
So we brought in 4 compartments of the FTT smoking clean. 3 are installed. We have 1 left. That one is the one we're going to use as a prototype because it can be fabricated locally. But for us to get it, to have it as a prototype, we have kept 1 that we can give to our fabricators within to fabricate. That is another way of creating jobs even for the fabricators.
The Food and Agriculture Organization has so far invested over $500,000 on the project. In Abuja, Musa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.
And in faraway Kebbi State, the people of Yawuri Emirate are living a life of natural beauty and abundance. For over 100 years, these people trade onion and fish by boat to countries of West Africa and to areas of southern Nigeria. On the banks of the River Niger, they cultivate rice 3 times a year. The potential this has makes such a big impact in Nigeria's drive for food security. But interplay of force or natural and man-made are not allowing the land to produce to optimal capacity, and the country is missing on a promising front. Hamis Rogo from Yelwa has the situation report.
I went to Yawuri to cover a cultural festival. This festival was last held in 1965. It was a resurgence of a prestigious get-together that unites the diverse cultural and ethnic entities of Yawuri. This cultural revival was splendid, but the environment of Yawuri offers more defining splendor. Not only is it beautiful, it also provides livelihood in abundance. Poverty has no base here. We started our story of Yawuri environment from Wara, some 80 kilometers southwest of Yelwa, in Ngaski local government. I like beautiful landscapes. I like the ambience of natural environment. And I like the perspective some of the landscape I've seen give me. Now look at this. Brilliant pictures of water flowing. It is the glorious River Niger. It is making trajectory right from Mali, coming through areas here in Kebbi State. To this community we are, Wara, and going down to the Atlantic Ocean. This eternal river plays a symbolic role in the lives of Yawuri Emirate. There are over 200 communities along the river channel, all finding livelihoods exploiting it. We drive through the river to link up with the communities upstream. At this time of the year, rice and fish cultivation are not at their peak. It is in the nature of this river that at dry season it swells up and occupies areas where large-scale cultivation of rice could take place. So little rice is cultivated. Abubakar Musa, the first civilian governor of Kebbi State, is a notable rice farmer here.
I believe that here in Wara and all of this local government, if we have encouragement from the government, we can feed not only Kebbi State, but even most of time in Nigeria.
Across the Emirate, the land supports massive cultivation of fruit trees like mangoes, oranges, and dates. Alhaji Abubakar Musa say he gets as much as 22 million naira a year selling mangoes and oranges from his farm. However, in the cultivation of onion, that Yauri is a national leader. It is unheard of that a household in Yauri Emirate is not into cultivation of onion.
Before independence, our forefathers carry onion from Yauri to Onitsha on paddle canoe.
The river ports are, however, the main channels of delivery of Yauri onion and rice to the world markets. In Yolowo port, at least 22 trailer loads of onion leave for Nigerian markets every day when on season. Hundreds on this side. The issue for the people of Yauri Port now, however, is that their environment is beautiful enough to attract tourists. They have a robust inland water transport system too, which connect towns and businesses and allow for ship-making industries. But it is never dredged. They feel their story and the story of the nation can change if something is done on that scope. For now, Yauri is a big world that the country needs to discover for its own good. In Yauri, Kebbi State, Mohammed Hamis Rogo, NTA News.
Hamis Rogo at large. Now, one of Africa's leading smartphone brands, Tecno, has launched Spark 3 series equipped with artificial intelligence technology. Marketing manager of Tecno Nigeria, Abel Hugh, says the device is built with unique features that will light up smartphone experience. Abolade Salami tells us more.
In August 2017, introduced its first Spark series of smartphone, such as Spark K7 and Spark Plus K9 into the market. While in 2018, it launched Spark 2 series, which came with high-definition or Face ID Unlock app and the full view screen of 18.9 display. Tecno, as an innovative mobile phone brand, poised to deliver the best of smartphone device, in 2019 launched Spark 3 series, a device with 4 stylish colors of champagne gold, midnight black, bodice red, and aqua blue. The latest smartphone in the Spark series run on Android 9.0 Pie with MTK6761 processor and a 2.0 GHz powerful CPU that gives the user a seamless interaction with the phone.
Actually, we want to do more and more, better and better. In the future, we will help more Nigerian people to achieve their dreams and make the dream come true.
The Tecno Spark 3 series, which has an AI camera with a 6.2 super screen full view display and a 13 megapixel dual rear camera, also has the capacity to reach 32 gigabyte storage space.
See how beautiful it is. This is an affordable phone with dual camera. It's sleek, it's compact, coming with amazing camera. I mean, you don't have to break the bank to buy it. This phone is the phone that will rule them all.
The unique thing about the launch of Tecno 3rd edition is Light Up Your World Dream campaign, where Tecno will empower 7 young entrepreneurs with 1 million naira each to scale up their businesses. In Lagos, Abolade Salami, NTA News.
Kantong Quarry Market is associated with textiles, but there are more to this market which will be unveiled after the commercial break. Join us again.
You can follow us on all our social media platforms: Facebook at NTA Network News, Instagram at NTA Network, Twitter at NTA News Now, YouTube at NTA News Online, or visit www.nta.ng. For live streaming, visit www.nta.ng/live. Now, you can stay updated on the go, be it on your TV, iPhone, laptop, or iPad, or download the NTA mobile application from your Play Store or App Store. NTA, you can beat the rich.
Glad to have you back with us. Kantong Quarry Market, one of the most popular textile markets in Kano State, has been literally invaded by the Chinese involved in retail business. This has continued to threaten the survival of domestic businessmen. Mohammed Rabiu Ali reports that the involvement of Chinese in running of local businesses is without fear of contradiction, detrimental to the economic interests of the state. Statistics show that a sizable percentage of shops in Quarry Market belongs to the Chinese. Let's hear more from Muhammad.
Kantin Quarry Textile Market is said to be the largest in West Africa, where transactions of billions of naira were carried out daily. The market is flooded with foreign textile materials, especially from Asia. It is an established fact that laws establishing business transactions prohibit retail sales, needless of dominance in local markets. But Chinese people have flaunted established international protocol where retail businesses have been taken over by foreigners. 80% of shops and stores in Quarry Market is believed to be owned by a foreigner, and it is a major setback to domestic retailers and wholesalers.
The wholesalers that are buying from their company, we are now competing with them directly and indirectly. So it's a systematic takeover. If the immigration personnel will make sure that any Chinese that come with STR visa, that is working visa, working permit visa, to make sure he works in the factory. If he don't have factory, as he have partner here in Nigeria, let him stay in China.
However, the Nigerian immigration counter the accusation leveled against them, saying the visa given to foreigners to live in Nigeria cannot be forged to do business.
Act provides in section 17, stating that a non-Nigerian has the right to participate in any form of business on his own or in partnership with a Nigerian, as long as that business is not undermining to national security.
The administration of Governor Abdullahi Umar Ganduje has so far constituted a committee to investigate the allegation.
We are working with the associations in the market. We are doing some intelligence gathering, and we are moving gradually to ensure that within some reasonable time, we have got all that we need to know that the name of XYD that is in that company does not translate into his turnover going into his account in the same name. Once we get to that, we'll be able to take appropriate legal actions on the people that are faking.
By doing so, through systematic approach, the medium industries, native retailers and wholesalers can grow and regain their status quo. Muhammad Rabiu Ali, NTA News.
Now, we have often brought to limelight on News Extra the metaphoric expression, there is always light at the end of the tunnel, to underscore success after difficulties in life. Well, this is the perception of the people of Nasarawa State who, trusting the federal government to deliver on its promises, continue to keep an eye on the implementation of the massive power infrastructure project in Lafia, expected to change the narrative of electricity supply in the state. Hamza Musa Makarfi reports that the station is also futuristic to backfeed Abuja, the federal capital territory, in case of emergencies. Hamza, what is the state of affairs on the project?
That is the vision of the federal government in the development of power sector in Nigeria, improving capacity like this. And this station is of 330/132/33 configuration. Let me break down the jargon to say that this is the highest in terms of transmission infrastructure under the power sector of Nigeria.
In the history of Lafia, electricity service has been characterized by low voltage profile, making it difficult for businesses and household needs to flourish.
The icing on the cake towards the realization of this project is the delivery on site of these heavy-duty transformers, which installation will commence in the next few weeks.
And it will take maybe 1.5 months. Installation of all the transformers. End of August of this year, we will switch it on the switch yard.
Okay, that's you're talking about the completion of the project.
Yes, yes. We will complete end of August of this year.
By comparison, therefore, Lafia is graduating from nothing to something very big. In addition to backfeeding Abuja when the need arises, the station is designed to boost supply to neighboring communities of Kaduna, Plateau, and Benue states. Governor Al-Makura pledges support for timely completion of the project.
I'm so happy that towards the twilight of my administration, the efforts we have made in conjunction with NIPP is coming to fruition. I believe the people of Nasarawa State and North Central Zone will be the better for it.
Everything on this project is about size, and as it nears completion, there is the urgent need for improvement of capacity in areas, communities, towns and cities where this project will impact positively. In Lafia, Hamza Musa Makarfi, NTA News.
Many thanks, Hamza. Nigerians should be ready to play host to tourists from different parts of the world very soon. Really? How and why, I guess, are the questions flooding your mind. Over now to Oyinaya Kalu-Oka, who will be telling us more about the tourism initiative unveiled in Abuja by the Nigerian Tourism Development Corporation, NTDC, in conjunction with private sector partners. Oyinaya, let the cat out of the bag.
Mini Port Perry of Nigerian's tourism potential, rich cultural heritage, vibrant Nollywood industry, and warm people under one roof to unveil the Project Tourism Initiative geared towards promoting domestic tourism. Project Tourism is a total package including grassroots sports, development, global roadshow, culture village, and host family scheme. The host family scheme is an avenue for foreign tourists to visit Nigeria and stay in some selected communities. Talking about this scheme, the crew stepped aside the hall to a community to have a feel of the reactions of Nigerians towards it. Well, this is Paduma, a peaceful community behind Asokoro in Abuja, and this community has Nigerians from different ethnic groups living together in peace and unity. And this is the kind of community where the tourists are expected to stay with the locals for some time in order to have a first-hand experience of our culture and tradition. And at the long run, they will become an ambassador of Nigeria to different parts of the world.
Because we have a very rich culture, an interesting culture that I feed other world doesn't have.
Sure, I will give him to Oloshi and me and Kuka.
Wow. Back into the hall, the show continued with support from the Nollywood celebrities and cultural ambassadors.
For tourism to be effective, we will have to individually ensure that we lead a life that will attract people to want to see what we have.
We have a lot in this country. Over the ranch, over the cave, so many things. But we just let them go. We need to make money from it. Tourism is money.
Initiator of the project, Prince Nad Muni Nwoko, and Nigeria's Apex Tourism Body, NTDC, say it will help project the tourism asset of the country.
I just believe that if we can collectively promote these aspects of our lives, Nigeria will be better for it. A lot of jobs will be created, income will be generated, and so we will live better.
The collaboration with the private sector is basically the engine that we need to drive tourism. Because if we leave it for government, we found that governments cannot do it alone. Project
Tourism is a public-private initiative many say is an interesting way of using tourism to enhance the image of Nigeria. Oyinaya Kalu-Oka, NTA News.
And more to come. Federal government empowers women through ICT. We'll be back after the break. good to have you join us. This is still NTA News Extra, reaching you live from Abuja, Nigeria's capital. Now, just like the saying that there is light at the end of the tunnel, or if you like, nothing here lasts forever. There is the ray of hope that is being rekindled among people living with disabilities in Akure, the Ondo State capital. Olajide Bello captured the moments for News Extra.
45-year-old Dorcas Fatumase is physically challenged and a civil servant with the Ondo State government. So also is Adigbo Olarinwaju, who teaches at the school for special needs in the state.
And he thanks President Buhari. If not for him, many of them will have faced many challenges. It is not easy to do what he really desires to do.
This ability conference is therefore to rekindle the burning flame and talent embedded in persons living with disabilities.
How can we assist in order for them to become a vehicle for economic transformation, for them to become employers of labor, for them to become self-sustaining, for them to be able to feed themselves, and reduce the level of poverty around us?
We must just show them how they could use their abilities. Their abilities can serve as their strength. Let them not limit themselves.
Ondo State government on its part says the physically challenged are factored into policies and plans.
Most of the program pertaining to persons with disability, Mr. Governor really recognized them. In terms of employment, is the first person that appoints SA with disability.
It's like capacity building. Building the man in you, building the ability in you.
The likes of Dorcas and Adigbo, who are participants at the conference, lauded the initiative of President Muhammadu Buhari in signing the Disability Bill. In Akure, Olajide Bello, NTA News.
Nigeria is known as the big brother in Africa. Of course, Nigerians are also known as their brother's keepers. It is therefore not surprising that Cameroonian refugees in Taraba State are enjoying the magnanimity and hospitality of Nigerians towards making life better for them. The displaced Cameroonians this time around benefited from free medical outreach organized by Binta Free Medical Outreach Africa in Kashimbila, Takum local government area of Taraba State. Our correspondent, Joseph Otsen, has that report.
Taraba State is hosting a lot of refugees from the Republic of Cameroon. Many have taken refuge in border communities in Taraba State, including those in Sardauna, Takum, Usa, and Krumi local government areas. Adequate shelter, food, and medical care are a source of concern, with the host communities being overstretched due to large number of influx. Though the federal and state governments have been supportive, other organizations such as Binta Free Medical Outreach Africa have also been reaching out to these displaced persons to provide succor. The non-governmental organization recently took its free medical outreach to border communities along Kashimbila in Takum local government area.
Without health, you can do nothing. So I now decided to take health from the poorest community to another poorest community and to those who are afflicted.
We don't even have mosquito net to talk of treated mosquito net.
The four-day outreach handled illnesses including fever, cough, malaria, typhoid, ulcer, and liver challenges among other ailments.
Since we came here over 8 months, we have never had any aid from anybody. Even the UN just came and registered us and left.
We have a hospital here which is bill is not yet completed. So we in the town are going to try and complete it and put the refugees there. We can't leave them in the bush where we went and saw them yesterday.
The locals attest that more refugees are trickling in day by day with an overbearing effect on the well-being of the people. From Kashimbila, Joseph Sound Otsen, NTA News.
Now, have you ever seen a picture of an acutely malnourished child? Well, if not, don't wish to see it. But if you have, I know you will support any initiative to tackle the problem. Now, to do this, those who should know are calling for more investments in child nutrition as remedy for about 2.5 million children suffering from acute malnutrition in Nigeria. Study shows that the bulk of malnourished children live in deprived areas ravaged by war, famine, and other forms of disasters. Uche Ugochukwu in this next report draws attention to malnourished children in conflict-affected areas.
My baby should be bigger than this, but where do I get the money to feed her right? Even my breast is not producing milk.
A concerned mother worried about the rather poor nutritional state of her baby, whose name is Tabitha from Goza, Borno State, a conflict area in Nigeria. 8 months old Tabitha can pass for a 3-month-old. This is a picture of more than 2.5 million children suffering from malnutrition in Nigeria. The 2018 survey by the National Bureau of Statistics sends alerts to all stakeholders to invest more on nutrition, especially in conflict-affected areas, to reduce acute and chronic malnutrition levels. Worrisome is the fact that malnutrition statistics have been static since 2014, despite interventions.
In a community or area that has a large pool of malnourished people, their ability to contribute to economic development will be compromised because it affects the ability of the children to be able to develop their mental capacity. Their brain development is disrupted.
In response to this call, the federal government dedicated a budget line for child nutrition. Several organizations, such as UNICEF, have also been championing campaigns on improved nutrition for children under 5 years.
Well, it's about survival, it's about development. When a child does not have the proper nutrition, he just might not survive, or she just might not survive. Even if he or she survives, he or she might be stunted.
Through the support, we're able to reach 1,239,802 children with vitamin A supplementation, while 195,000 women were able to be supplemented with iron folate.
Tabitha's malnutrition falls into the category of underweight. It can also present in the form of overweight, and if not properly managed, can even lead to death. As a way forward, nutrition experts advocate improved capacity building for the likes of Tabitha's mother, education and food security to avert the millions of naira Nigeria loses to malnutrition. Uche Ugochukwu, NTA News.
The federal government has reacted to the report from some media houses regarding the status of the Nigeria SEZ Investment Company Limited, also known as the Nigeria Special Economic Zones Company Limited. A statement from the Special Advisor to the President on Media and Publicity, Femi Adesina, indicates that the federal government's Economic Recovery and Growth Plan identified the development of special economic zones as a major strategic tool to accelerating the implementation of the Nigeria Industrial Revolution Plan. Project Mine was envisaged by the Federal Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment to develop special economic zones to world-class standards and position Nigeria as the preeminent manufacturing hub in sub-Saharan Africa and a major exporter of made-in-Nigeria goods and services regionally and globally. On the foreign scene, Algerians took to the streets of the capital, Algiers, to celebrate the resignation of President Abdulaziz Bouteflika. For this and other stories on the foreign scene, let's join Ado Adamalso.
Thank you and welcome. Algerians took to the street of the capital, Algiers, to celebrate the resignation of President Abdulaziz Bouteflika. Mr. Bouteflika, who had been in power for 20 years, had already dropped plans to seek a 5th term as opposition to his rule grew. He made a rare appearance on the state TV to relinquish power hours after the military chief, Lieutenant General Ahmad Gaid Saleh, had called on him to leave office immediately. Car horns could be heard in the street of the capital, Algiers, as hundreds celebrated the announcement. Elsewhere, the International Criminal Court is investigating possible crimes against humanity in Mali. This follows attack on villagers by armed militia in March. Hundreds were killed and dozens injured. The prosecutor of the International Crime Court, Fatou Bensouda, had announced the arrival in Bamako of a delegation from her office to investigate the attack on the central Mali last week, where at least 160 people were massacred on the 23rd March. And Venezuelan legislators have stripped Juan Guaido of immunity, paving way for his prosecution and potential arrest for supposedly violating the constitution when he declared himself interim president. But whether President Nicolas Maduro's government will take action against the 35-year-old remains unclear. Guaido has embarked on an international campaign to topple Maduro's administration amid deepening social unrest in the countries plagued by nearly a month of power outages. And that is it on this segment of the news. Thank you for your time. I am Ado Ademualso.
Many thanks, Ado. Now, enhancing tourism in Nigeria through golf is one aspect often neglected by stakeholders in the country. Ayodeji Makinde takes a look at some options which are capable of boosting golf tourism in Nigeria.
Anywhere around the world, golf is a money-spinning sport capable of generating income, attracting tourists, improving a country's external image and developing